Okay, I'm going live. I'm 19 seconds early. Yesterday was Christmas. Hope all of you had a great Christmas. Next, we get to look forward to New Year. Nice to see you, Malpal. George is here. Tonight, you can catch George at 6:30 Eastern time. No, tomorrow. Sorry, I get confused. It's on Sundays at 6:30 Eastern. So anyway, I think Lenny was itching to do a show today because he missed yesterday due to Christmas. And so last night he said, "Oh, do you want to do a show together?" And so I said, "Okay." And then I don't wake up in a great mood ever. And so anyway, I don't know if Lenny was like scared or what, but he said, "If you're fine, you can go on by yourself." I was like, "I'm always fine." So today I put a link to the notes in the chat room. It's just nice to have, I don't know if you might want to use them for keeping, like following along, or maybe when you're putting together your, projections and your draft values and stuff like that. Anyway, I like to give you some notes. If you're in the chat room, I think it's a good thing to just use. So you can actually look at the stats as we talk about them. So we're going to talk about some players that I noticed in kind of interesting spots in ADP so far at NFBC. It's kind of like the go-to ADP for fantasy baseball drafts, and they have started doing drafts, and they've been doing drafts. I did put the link in the notes, so you can go to the ADP at NFBC, and you can actually sort it out by date. You can sort it. You can do a lot of different things with the average draft position and what you see. So you can like narrow it down to just this past week if you want, or you can narrow it down to the date since September or whatever. But what I did for the purposes of this particular podcast on Saturday Baseball is that I was looking at it for 12 teams. A lot of NFBC players use they play in 15 team leagues, but I didn't narrow it down to any number of teams in the league. I just left it blank, and I put all positions, all drafts, of course, excluding auction drafts. And I mean, we could look at those on a different day, but I narrowed it down from just the ones in December, from December 1st to December 26th today. And I just wanted to go through a couple of players that I thought were interesting. Good morning, Dennis, Mr. Dr. Timko. Where's Aiden? Maybe he doesn't like me anymore. You said he was annoyed at me because I don't like the Yankees. But we already discussed that. And Aiden, no matter, even if, I mean, some Yankee fans are like my best friends. And you got to be able to be friends with people that are, fans of your rival team, especially here in New York, since I'm probably like the only person in the entire state of New York that absolutely despises the Yankees. But it goes back a long time, and it's just one of those things. But, Aiden, I hope you come back. He still likes me. That's what Dr. Timko says. So thank you, Doctor. All right, let's get started. So the notes are in the chat room. I told you that. Let's see if I can put them in there again. That's for looking at. Let's talk about, first I want to go over the Rotowire projections for next season, which are out now, and it helps out a ton, looking at next year's projections with Rotowire. It's one of the websites that I trust probably more than any other website. I always go there first if I'm interested in finding out about a player, and they always have up-to-date news. They always have up-to-date depth charts. They add new stuff every season, like this year, or last year they added hard hit and barrels, and that's helpful since everybody's like on this huge barrel kick. And so they added launch angle, barrels, hard hit, and you can see how a player goes up against every pitcher in the league. You can see how a pitcher goes up every hitter. Like, you can see so many different things with Rotowire. So that's where we start here today. I always look for like how many players are projected, how many hitters are projected to hit 20 home runs and steal 20 bases. And of course, Rotowire shows that there are 12 batters projected to be 2020 hitters, which never ever pans out. I don't know if we just overestimate the potential for this, but out of those 12, 8 of them will reach 100 runs. So the next thing I look at, if a guy's like projected for 2020, I say, okay, how many guys are projected for 2020 plus 100 RBIs and 100 runs? Well, there's only two. That would be Fernando Tatis and Jose Ramirez. Both of those guys are projected over 2020 and 100 in each runs and RBIs. So that's huge. And of course, you know, the batting average, it's 287 batting average for Fernando Tatis, although I'm a little skeptical of that high of a batting average for him. I drafted him first overall in the league that we just did with Sirius Radio, so I was third. Did I draft Fernando Tatis? If I didn't, I wanted to, but I think I did. Because Mookie Betts is the only player that I would draft above Fernando Tatis. That's the truth. I don't trust Acuna, even though he is projected as one of the hitters to go 2020 at least. I mean, he's 42-30, so that's huge. Like 42 homers and 30 stolen bases is like unbelievable. Okay, but his plate discipline is it's just not as refined as like Mookie Betts. So in my opinion, Mookie Betts is the most consistent, the best experience, the perfect age. He's number one to me. The next guy on the list, Fernando Tatis. And then, Mike Trout actually fell to the 5th overall, I think, in that draft. We're not allowed to post it yet, apparently, but maybe we are. It's on demand now, so maybe we are. But, okay, so only 2 of these hitters, 2020 hitters, are going to hit 100 RBIs and 100 runs total. 2. 8 of them are going to hit 100 runs. Projected to reach 100 runs, 8 of those out of 12. And then 3 are projected to reach 100 RBIs. Kyle Tucker is one of those, along with Jose Ramirez and Fernando Tatis. Of course, we already talked about those 2, but Kyle Tucker, I would watch out for Kyle Tucker. We're going to talk about him a little bit when we go over the ADP because, well, let's look for Kyle Tucker and see what he's doing. Where's he sitting? Kyle Tucker, 30th overall, number 30. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. No way, no how, no. Do you remember how long that they left him in the minor leagues? There's something to that. Like, they left him down there for way too long. They knew that he was ready to come up. They could have made room for him if they wanted him to be up in the majors. They left him down in the minor leagues. There was a lot to that. And so I think it's important to remember and note that even though he was excellent when he did come up, he was excellent last year. That's why he's going 30th overall. But I just don't like... He's going before Kershaw, Arenado, Jose Abreu. I would take over him every day of the week. Not, every day of the week. There's no question as to which of those I would take on, any given day. Kyle Tucker or Jose Abreu. In my world, there's just no question. Okay. So 5 of these 12 2020 guys are projected to hit above 280. There's Tatis Jr., Mookie Betts, Trevor Story, Bo Bichette, and Trey Turner. Now, Bo Bichette is another interesting ADP number here. They talked about Bo Bichette on the Athletic podcast like yesterday. I don't know, maybe 5 days ago. Who knows? Just recent podcast for the Athletic, Rates and Barrels, I believe it is. It's Nando DeFino and Ian Kahn and DVR. So Derek Van Riper. Anyway, they were talking about Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette being drafted super high at 21 overall. The problem for me is not really that Bo Bichette doesn't have the talent to be that, but there's so many shortstops, right? There's so many. And you do take on a little bit of risk when you're drafting a guy like Bo Bichette. However, he's got speed. He's got power. He's part of this 2020 projection guy. Plus, he's going to hit over 280, projected to hit over 280. I don't know. It's, for me, I question that pick too because he's still so young. This guy, literally, he's going to be 23 this year. He's 23. He's so young. If you only look at the major leagues, he's only had total 340 plate appearances in the majors. he's hit above 300 each of those seasons. Each of those, across 2 seasons, he's had that many plate appearances. His contact rate is like improved from 74% to 78%. In the minors, it was right around like 78, 80%. It was really pretty good in the minor leagues. He doesn't strike out very often. He strikes out about 20% of the time. And I think that's reasonable to expect going forward, because in the minor leagues, he struck out less than 20%, like close to 20%, but less than. And in the majors, he struck out 23.6% his first season and then 21% his second season. So Bo Bichette is absolutely on his way to being a total stud. But have we seen enough of Bo Bichette to give him credit where, have the pitchers seen him enough to where that they've already seen, they found his weaknesses, they've adjusted to his weaknesses, and he's, also made the adjustments necessary. And I think that's what we're looking for. But shortstop is such a deep position. It's hard to go there with Bichette. Trey Turner is hitting above 280. So 5 out of 12 are expected to bat above 280. Will Myers is not on this list, if you notice. So in the first round, you have, out of these, they're projected to go in the first round, you have Tatis, Acuna, Betts, Ramirez, and Story. So 5 in the first round. And then projected to go in the second round, ADP right now, we're talking Kyle Tucker, Trey Turner, Christian Yelich, Luis Robert, and Bo Bichette. The third round, now we have Lindor and Trent Grisham. How much do you put into Trent Grisham? Okay, because this guy, well, we have a big San Diego fan in the chat room. So, I have to say I was wrong about Franchy Cordero. I wasn't really wrong about Trent Grisham, I don't think. I didn't really analyze Grisham that much. I just had a liking to Franchy Cordero until Malpal told me that what happens is, who's the guy in Arizona that was drafted and he just never came up, and that the actual administrative people that drafted this guy, brought him on to the Arizona Diamondbacks, had left the Arizona Diamondbacks, and therefore the new administration, like the new front office, coaches, managers, whatever, they were not there when this guy was actually signed. So this guy had a huge contract, and I can't remember who it is, but they were paying him $28 million a year. He was left down in the minor leagues because the people that actually signed him were totally long gone from the team, and nobody really cared that much about his getting him up. And the same thing happened to Franchy. The people that signed Franchy, that were so excited about Franchy, they're not there anymore. They were replaced. So Franchy Cordero was just not a team favorite. He was not a manager favorite. It was whatever. Plus he was injured all the time. Anyway, it was Trent Grisham or Franchy Cordero. Who's going to get the playing time? It was always a problem with playing time. And then Franchy got traded, but that was after we had already figured out that Franchy was still not going to be able. He's a disappointment. I think I'm done with Franchy Cordero. I'm not done with Byron Buxton. And there's another one that I may or may not be finished with. But either way, Franchy Cordero's history. What do we think about Trent Grisham? He's going round 3. Okay, Trent Grisham. I'm looking him up. I want to hear what Malpal. Who was that guy, Lenny? Who was that guy in Arizona that I want to say his name starts with an A, but I can't say that for sure. So, Grisham, Trent Grisham, Michael. Okay, so George, is the one. You may be able to get Grisham. He could be a nice bargain, but Grisham is going in the third round according to NFBC ADP, and I don't think that's a bargain. To me, that is not a bargain. Yes, it's just Manny Tomas. Thank you, Douglas Boyle. You are so helpful, dude. Thank you. Okay, that was just gonna bother me so bad. So, yes, it was just Manny Tomas. They kind of just, left him down there. No, anyway, Malpal, Franchy's a 5-tool talent. That's true, but he's never healthy. So he's left the tools in the toolbox, which is in the garage cabinet next to mine, and we can't find them. So Grisham in the third round is a major reach. That's how I feel about it. I feel like that's a major reach. Now, I mean, I don't have a problem with them completely. His batting average improved from 230 to 251 if you go by just the major league numbers. His strikeout percentage is still 25%, and he walks 12%, so that's good. We don't know. He could be we do know he hits the ball hard, I believe. He makes contact 70% of the time. That should go up. In the minor leagues, he made contact like 75% of the time. I don't know. Trent Grisham is too risky at that average draft price, which would be in the third round somewhere. It looks like Rotowire has him 55, ranked 55th overall. I just don't see it. So, okay, keep going. Next thing we're going to talk about, the baseball forecaster. I've been reading it a lot. I've been analyzing the numbers. I've been, looking at one of my favorite sections in there is called gainers and faders. It talks about like maybe some hitters that overperform. There's 3 different categories. There's power, speed, and batting average. And so there's certain skills that make up each one of these basic skills. Like power skills include the ability to hit the ball hard, to make contact, and to hit fly balls. You need all 3 of those to actually become like a full-fledged power hitter. You need to be able to hit hard, make contact, and fly balls. So you see that some of these hitters maybe outplayed their basic power skills, or they underplayed, they were not as good, not as pronounced, but they don't fit in line with the rest of their stats over the season. So there's a really great section in the baseball forecaster about whether or not these skills are going to fade or get better and what we should see going forward. Now, obviously, making projections is very risky, and it's not ever going to come out the way that you expected it to. I mean, you can just assume that you're going to get 60%, 60 to, I don't know, 60 to 70%. That's like the highest you'll ever get. So just life happens. So, okay, let's talk about speed skills. We have speed skills, which are, for speed, you need to be fast. Of course, you need to be able to run fast. You need to get on base. That's huge. Okay, Billy Hamilton is a good example of somebody that can't do it. And then you have to attempt to steal bases in order to be successful at stealing bases. So those 3 things: running fast, getting on base, and attempting to steal bases. And then batting average skills come down to contact. It's like all about contact. Ground balls also play into this skill set, and also the ability to walk. So, do they have patience at the plate? Are they willing to wait for pitches that are in the zone? Are they willing, when they do hit the ball, are they hitting ground balls? Ground balls are more likely to turn into a base hit than a fly ball that's not a home run. So batting average skills consist of those 3 things. Now, so the what do I have here? Stolen base. We have stolen base projected over 20. There's a lot of There's a lot of hitters projected to steal over 20 bases. Not like what we've seen in the past few seasons, but just a lot more stolen bases going on, or at least a lot more runners stealing bases, which is weird. It's still like the lowest it's been almost maybe ever. I was just reading about the stolen bases that they did go up last year, but they're still really low compared to years before that. We're just not seeing that many stolen bases. I do believe we're seeing a lot more stolen, like a lot more runners, hitters, whatever you want to call them, stealing bases, but not as many. So you had one hitter that stole 52 bases, or maybe they're projected to steal. Adalberto Mondesi is projected to steal 52 bases. He stole a shit ton last year. VR is projected to steal 41 bases again. That's pretty amazing. Trevor Story, 33. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 projected to steal 30 or more. 12 projected to steal 25 or more. And then you have like a whole slew at probably another 12 or 13 that are expected to steal at least 20. That's interesting to me. How many of these are in the top rounds? You can see on the left-hand side that I listed from Rotowire their rank, okay? You have hitters in here like John Birdie that is ranked 147th. These are great late round steals. I will say steals, depending on what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a guy that can steal bases, like Trent Grisham is on here, but they have him here ranked 45th overall. What in the hell? Hold on a minute. Grisham, according to Rotowire, Grisham is ranked 55th, and then down here it looks like he's ranked. This is so weird. 40th, 45th. So either Rotowire changed the projections like in between me doing my notes, or something's off here, because Trent Grisham is ranked 45th on one. When I rank by stolen bases, he's ranked 45th. And then if I rank by 2020 guys, he's ranked 55th. Let's see where the real Trent Grisham. Let's see projections, full season. I gotta see. I'm sorry, you guys. I gotta see. So hang with me for a second. Add filter. We're gonna stolen base at 20. Trent Grisham. I don't get it. I gotta look at rankings. All batters. Trent Grisham 45 overall. Total 45. So that's even higher than what they had him before. And then if you look at him at ADP on NFBC, you will see him ranked 55th. So maybe I got the other. Maybe that's the problem. He's ranked between 45th and 55th overall. That's really, I just think that's super high. So moving on, let's just move on. We're just stuck in a rut here. We need to get some pace going on. Okay. All right. Jared Walsh. Okay. I took Jared Walsh in our serious draft. I like Jared Walsh. This guy finished the season super in September alone, from September 2nd to September 27th. He batted .318 with 9 home runs, 26 RBIs, 5 walks, 13 strikeouts. He doesn't steal bases, so don't get excited about that. His on-base percentage, .368. Okay, now Jared Walsh is he's 27, but we haven't seen a lot of him at the major league level. He's absolutely likely to start the season in right field. He also plays first base, but Albert Pujols is still there for one more season, and the Angels do have an option to put him as DH, but he started off pretty bad. He went 0 for 10, and then he got demoted on August 3rd. 4 weeks later, he comes back to the majors, and he was crazy good from then on. Like, he hit .326 with 9 home runs in 98 plate appearances. He led all hitters, who logged at least 100 plate appearances, because of his .354 isolated slugging. And he ranked second with a .646 slugging, 13.9% strikeouts. And here he is. Where's he going in ADP? He's going 184th overall. His lowest is 148, and his high was 227 so far in ADP. But that's like the 15th round. Is Jared Walsh worth a 15 round? I mean, look, this guy hit 9 home runs in September. I think he was great. There is, he's going to play every day. What does he struggle with? Fly balls. He needs to hit more fly balls. If he starts hitting more fly balls, I think he'll hit more home runs if he starts hitting more fly balls. He doesn't have a problem with his defense. I think he should be good with defense, so I just think he's going to be in the lineup every day. So in round 15, here's a guy. Is he going to steal bases? No. His contact, 84.8% contact. That's way too high. Like, I don't see that, because in 2019, when he first came up to the majors, he had 87 plate appearances and his contact rate was only 55.7. I just don't see you improving from 55.7% contact all the way up to 85% contact rate. I just don't see that staying like that. But he also struck out 40% of the time his first attempt at the major leagues. And so that went down to 13% from 40% strikeout rate to 13%. That's a big difference. I don't expect it to stay like that. I definitely see him striking out, 20, 22%, but still, these days it's totally acceptable to strike out 22%. He's always shown good contact skills, good plate discipline. And so I definitely like him at that pick. Moving on to, Yordan Alvarez, okay? Mr. Houston, DH for Houston. Yes, he's going to hit every day, but he's got problems. Hold on, I'll tell you what they are. He's going 85th overall at NFBC, and he has actually gone as early as 61st overall and as late as 120th overall. He was 2019 Rookie of the Year. You loved him. Everybody expected him to be just awesome. He does hit the ball super hard. Going into 2020, he missed like the first 3 weeks of the season because he had COVID. And he also missed like most of spring training, or maybe all of spring training. He got COVID. So anyways, he also missed the first 3 weeks of the season. And then he had 9 plate appearances before he ended up being removed because of injury. So he had a knee injury, which ended up to be surgery on both knees, arthroscopic surgery on both knees. Ouch. Okay. That is no bueno. But so that's what happened. He said that he had been dealing with knee pain for like a couple seasons before he actually, before last season when they actually addressed it. He said he'd been playing with hurt knees, and you would never know that because the guy was like crazy good when he came up to the majors. He like obviously was impressive. He got Rookie of the Year. Anyway, 2 knees, August, arthroscopic surgery, both knees. He is working out and he is scheduled to be back for spring training. He videos have like circulated with him working out on the treadmill. I just think that the expectations are a little ambitious. I think that like ambitious, anyway. Anyway, his strikeout rate, the strikeout rate. We only have 9 plate appearances last year to go by. Okay. What I know is that when he came up to the majors in 2019, this is one of those hitters that you really have to use 2019 for most of your projection ideas, because he only had 9 plate appearances. Obviously, he was really hampered by his knees, but he only struck out 11% of those 9 plate appearances. And I'm going by 2019, which he struck out 25.5% of the time. It goes more in line with his minor league stats, although in 2019, right before he came up to the majors, he had the lowest strikeout rate of his career at 19.8%. That's in the minors. So he was still striking out in the minors over 20% of the time, most of the time. He got to the majors, he struck out 25.5%. I think that it would be wise to expect him to strike out at least like 22% or maybe 25%. That would be very safe to say 25% strikeouts. Okay, can he walk? Yeah, he can walk. He can walk more than 10% of the time. He will walk. He's been, having a pretty good eye in the minors too. He makes contact, but nowhere near the contact that he made in 2020. He will make contact like 75% of the time, which is totally acceptable in the majors and shouldn't harm him at all. But it's the surgery on both knees. It just scares me. He doesn't have to run fast. He's not known for his speed. He still has to get around the bases. And the thing is like, depending on how much you like Yordan Alvarez, he only qualifies at DH. I'm pretty sure he's only going to qualify at DH. The fact that he is going so early in drafts. It bothers me. I will not draft him. No way, no how. 85th overall. If he falls to his look, he's been drafted as late as 120. So that's the 10th round. And I would say if he falls to the 10th round, everybody should take him then. But beware, the surgery, the 2 knees, this not very much experience in the major leagues. He had a great season in 2019. Okay, he definitely hits the ball hard. 44 home runs. Okay, that's huge. He should be able to do that again. They have him at in the baseball forecaster. They have him projected for 30 home runs, 1 stolen base, a 273 batting average, and a 350 on base percentage. That is a big difference. Well, no, it's not that big of a difference because what he did last year is just, we should throw it out the window. Anyway, also projections from Rotowire have him at 27 home runs. That's a little low in my opinion, but take it for what you will. He's projected to bat. It's so crazy. At Rotowire, they have him projected to bat 283. At Baseball Forecaster, it's 273. That's quite a big difference in my opinion. His on-base percentage is off by it's 350 at Baseball Forecaster and 368 at Rotowire. So Rotowire expects him to hit a little better, get on base a little more, but hit less home runs. Odd. Well, on base percentage doesn't have much to do with that. So, okay, his advanced batting statistics for Rotowire has him projected 71% contact, 25% strikeout. Just remember, this guy is going to strike out 25% of the time. I think that's a little high, but it's safe. Definitely safe. Let's see what Baseball Forecaster has him striking out. I don't see the strikeouts on here, but it's definitely on here. Anyway, he's got huge power. We know this. He's huge power. So, moving on. Trey Mancini. What are you going to do about Trey Mancini? It's a feel-good story for me. I just love it. And I think that I've always liked Trey Mancini anyway. I was devastated when he, was diagnosed with colon cancer. It was absolutely heartbreaking, especially if you had already drafted him, and because it came pretty late, right? After drafts had already started, Trey Mancini was diagnosed with this. He's back. He's going to be back. He's been working out all the time. And so when you see these players, right, that have dealt with certain types of injuries, cancers, leukemia, like we're going to talk about Jameson Taillon. He's coming back after every kind of injury under the sun. He's going to be 29 this year, but I'm not trying to get off on a side note. We're going to talk about Taillon coming up, which is exciting too. But Carlos Carrasco last year was really easy to root for because this is a guy that overcame a lot of medical leukemia issues, and he came back. He was very good last year. I mean, from what we expected him to be. And Trey Mancini, we wonder what's he going to do. He's actually going at NFBC so far 177th overall. The earliest he's gone though is 97th, and the latest he's gone is 205th. And I feel look at the distance between 97 and 205. That's 10 rounds difference. And I just think depending on, this is all going to be based on where he falls in the draft. I would advise everybody to keep your eye out for him. He would be an excellent late, semi-late round first baseman. If you find yourself in a situation where you forgot to get, or you waited too long to get a first baseman, although there's a couple other first basemen that I would highly recommend, like Carlos Santana, who's just being totally neglected again. He had a horrible 2020, that's why, but he's on this list. So let's go back to Mancini. Missed the entire 2019 season. He was diagnosed with colon cancer. So I said last year, but I meant, the year before when he was totally missed out. So he said on November 11th, he said that his most recent blood work showed no tumor DNA, and that puts him back on track to return to full activities during spring training. So excited. He says he's been working out 5 days a week and taking light batting practice so far during the off season. He should gradually ramp up his activity as spring training gets closer, and assuming that he continues to receive good news with his blood work, we can expect him back. He's only 28, so he also plays outfield and first base. He should qualify at both positions, and if he's healthy, he will absolutely be in the lineup every day. And what do we expect out of Mancini? Well, he had a career season in 2000, and look, it says 2019 he had 35 home runs, so I was wrong about missing all of 2000. I don't know when he went out with his cancer, but I do know that he had an excellent season right before he was out, and people were stoked about drafting him heading into the season. It was heading into the season that we found out about his cancer, and that was pretty sad. But right before that, the season right before that was his career season. He had not ever hit that many home runs. He was really it was like, reaching his peak age for performance, and reached, 100 RBI, 100 runs, 97 RBIs. It was just an excellent season for him. Now, he had a 291 batting average when in previous seasons he never had a batting average over 260. So like 263 is his highest, and then all of a sudden he's batting 283. So I'd watch that a little bit, but definitely Trey Mancini. I just love a feel-good story. I hope he comes back. Keep your eye on him. I have a feeling if he continues to be healthy and everybody starts seeing him in the spring, this is one of those players that you're not going to be able to draft late. The closer that the season gets to starting, the earlier he's gonna continue to move up the draft board, and he when people start noticing him, he's not going to be going late that long. So if you draft early, that's a good one to consider. I definitely think that he showed improvements. He's just easy to root for. Okay, bottom line, Trey Mancini, don't forget about him. Don't draft him. Don't draft him at 97th overall, probably, but draft him before 205. That's pretty big difference between those two. So let's talk about Josh Donaldson next. Josh Donaldson, I like him too. He's easy to root for. He's a good hitter. He's been on so many teams though. Like the last 4 seasons, he's been on 4 teams total, or he's been around the block. Toronto, Atlanta, Minnesota, and Cleveland. Atlanta, Toronto, Minnesota, Cleveland. Anyway, he's playing in Minnesota now. His average draft position is 189 overall. He's had problems. Like he's been dealing with injury issues for, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 seasons. He's got calf injuries. Okay. Let's see. Anyway, here's the deal with Donaldson. I understand why he's falling late in drafts, but 189 overall is like round 15 or 13. It's late, okay? And I would say that he still has a ton of power, right? If you look at his stats last season even, number one, the Minnesota Twins paid him a lot of money. They paid him the largest free agent contract in franchise history at 4 years, $84 million. It doesn't seem like that much, but for them it is a lot. And that was right before last season. He missed half the season last year. After he played only 7 games, he missed a month due to his calf problems, which he's had for, and then he injured his calf again the last weekend and missed the entire playoffs. And, not that Minnesota went far in the playoffs, but whatever. He still showed that he has an exit velocity of 92.8 miles an hour, so he still hits the ball really hard. He's got a 53.4% hard hit rate, so he hits the ball hard often, and that's ranking in the top 20 hitters with, at least that many plate appearances. So he still hits the ball hard. He still hits the ball hard often. And even though he does have injuries and he is showing age, he's still absolutely useful in fantasy, and he should not be neglected on draft day. Is he good defensively? I don't know. He ranked 8th among third basemen in defensive, UZR last year. His health remains a concern. He's had chronic calf injuries. He missed 38 games with his calf in 2017, and he played 52 games in 2018. And then, of course, in 2020, he had both calf and shoulder issues. So it really is all about whether or not this guy can stay healthy. And I mean, look, at 189th overall, I still think he can hit close to 30 home runs. Batting average is slipping a little bit. Definitely his batting average is slipping. But just as recent as 2019, he hit 37. I don't know. He played 28 games for the Twins and hit 6 home runs. That was last year. 104 plate appearances, 102 plate appearances. 6 times 4 or 6 times 3 is 18. So what do you expect? I would still expect 20 home runs from Donaldson. And I still think that if you're getting late in the draft, if he's available in the 15th round or whatever, and you need a corner and you need somebody like this, that's actually, third base is not that deep. So you could absolutely use Donaldson as a corner. That's my opinion. So Lenny didn't get a lot of sleep last night because he thought I lost his Jimmy Brown card, which is football. And right now I'm actually trying to put all of the baseball and football and basketball cards into these frames. That shadow box is what I've now resorted to, because the frames that they use for the baseball cards are so cheap looking and so ridiculously expensive. It's hard to display your cards. So I wish they would come out with a classy looking shadow box or something to display your cards that will hold more than 9 at a time, and just look nice. And so I took the football ones out of the football display thing because I was going to paint it. And then for Christmas, I bought new ones, new frames and stuff. So anyway, they're in the drawer in the living room, but Lenny gets so freaked out. He can't find the Jimmy Brown card. And actually I have a bag of cards anyway that I have the whole 1957 baseball ones, and we already have, I think it's 1956 or 1950. It was one of the other ones. We already have those framed with Mickey Mantle and all of those. But in 1957, for some reason, I have a whole set of 1957 baseball. There's a bag that has all of these cards in it, and I'm ready to put them into the frames, but Lenny gets freaked out when he can't find one card, and he says, this is expensive. That's what they're talking about in the chat room right now. And I love the fact that, baseball cards are great for stocking stuffers. I love to give them to young kids, especially kids that love baseball. There's just nothing better. I just find it so much fun to open up the baseball cards and find out who is in there, which players did I get. And of course, back in 1957, Lenny never expected, he was 10 years old, so he never expected these cards are going to be worth so much money someday. He would play with them in his room. He would set them out, and he would practice hitting the ball with them, he would practice playing. He would put them out in the outfield, put them out the positions, and then he would go through a whole game play by play playing with his cards. And so that obviously didn't keep him in the most pristine shape, but still most of his cards are in decent shape, and I feel like I want to put them on display, and that's what I'm working on right now. Anyway, we found the Jimmy Brown card, but he stayed up all night, and he probably had nightmares thinking he couldn't find the Jimmy Brown. Yes. Where are these coming from? Oh, those are the old frame that they were on. The old frame. Anyways, Chappie wished me a Merry Christmas. Okay. Never mind. The packs are so expensive, dude. I know, $12 for one pack. How many cards do you get? 5 or 6 or 7 cards in one pack? That's just absurd, right? It is crazy, but sometimes you can find them at the Dollar Tree, and I love finding them there, and they probably aren't worth crap, but I still like opening them, and I still like getting cards. I still like getting them. So, the cards they were worth a lot of money. But as soon as 1988 hit or whatever, they started like making so many cards, and then they had like none of those cards are worth any money. From 1988 to who knows how long, but from 1988 on, I just stay away from all of those cards. If you ever see them, don't buy them. They're not worth any money. It was like at least 88 to 94, maybe even further than that, because MLB just produced so many that they're just like not rare at all. Anyway, 6 cards. Yes, they are beautiful. The new ones, they're like 3D. They're super. Yes, it's very fun. So I love that you get Aiden some cards, and I still try to get Lenny cards when I find them at the Dollar Tree and stuff, but you know, they don't compare to his other cards. Anyway, going back to the ADP, let's talk about Carlos Santana. This guy is just getting neglected completely because of what happened to him last year. He did not hit well last year. ADP 287. Are you kidding me? 287. Let me just do 287 divided by 12. That is round 23.91, almost round 24. So he's gone as early as 238 and as high as 342. Let me tell you something. If you do not believe me on any player in this podcast or video or whatever you want to call it, okay, draft prep, if you don't believe me on any player, believe me on this one player. Carlos Santana is not to be left until the 24th round. He is not to be left out there. He had a crappy season, yes, last year. He didn't do good. We saw all kinds of stats go haywire for him. He batted 199. He still got on base, though. He still had a 349 on base percentage, which is still like decent on base percentage, and that's what he's known for anyways. If you're in an on base percentage league, there's absolutely no way in heck that you should leave this guy until the 24th round. It's unbelievable. It's not unbelievable, but it's surprising. I'll tell you that. Surprising. So he just signed with Kansas City. Kansas City is not, the best team, but Kansas City is not messing around. They feel like, okay, they signed Carlos Santana to play first base. Plus, it's an American League team. So if they need to put him at DH, even though I think Soler's like belongs at the DH, but okay. So anyway, $17.5 million they're paying Carlos Santana. So he's going to get playing time no matter what. And he plays first base. So last year it was like if you didn't draft a first baseman in time, it dropped off completely. Like the talent dropped off immensely at some point in the draft. And so it used to be that first base was just deep and you could always find a decent first baseman. I mean, you can always find Mitch Moreland late in drafts. I don't know why he never gets paid attention to. The same with San Francisco dude, Brandon Belt. 2 totally underrated fantasy guys, in my opinion. Carlos Santana will crush them both. I know that he's probably never going to hit the same number of home runs that he did in 2019, which is 34. But he still hits the ball hard, and he still makes great contact, and he has patience at the plate. And yes, he's 35. But there's no way that he should be going this late in drafts, and he is absolutely valuable as a corner. And I know I've had like I've always liked Carlos Santana. I've always been a fan of his. I think that, his character it speaks for itself. Like, he came to this country. He worked really hard to become an American citizen. He was super excited when he did. And like, he videotaped it, and it was just a great story for him. It's a great story for everybody. He speaks great English. I remember Craig Mish telling me that I was going to need to get an interpreter if I wanted to interview Carlos Santana. And they were like, he speaks perfectly fine English. I was like, okay, thanks, Craig. Anyway, whatever it is. Carlos Santana, gets on base. No doubt about it. He will be for sure a better player than a 24th round player. No question. I just think that he's going to play right in the middle. He's going to bat right in the middle of the lineup. The best OBP nowadays, okay, is above 330. Like it used to be the OBP, the average OBP was much higher than that. It's not. It's less than 330, the average OBP. The best OBP, let me look at my notes here. I mean, OBP is a big deal, and it's very important, and it is getting lower and lower. Like, it seems that if you don't look at the average ADP for a couple years, it's completely different than what you thought it was. I remember thinking like ADP 350, the average ADP is 350, or average OBP is 350. Then all of a sudden I didn't look for a while, and it's gone down a ton. So it's good to keep up with this, and I definitely... His contact rate is still good. Carlos Santana not only has patience at the plate, but he makes contact. He said it's lower. His contact rate last year, he was batting 199. So, it wasn't good, but it was still almost 80%. It was 79.1%. It's never been below 80. Well, it has been below 80%, but not since 2015. Okay. And even then it was like 78%. So he's always had a good contact rate. Definitely. That's huge. His strikeouts are always low. I don't think he's ever struck out 20% ever. He's striking out like 15, 16% still. He walks. We already know he walks. He's got a great on-base percentage. So he's walking like 15% of the time, striking out like 15% of the time. And he's got an 80% contact rate. And that, it speaks for itself, those three things. His batting average on balls in play last year was 212. So no matter what, you can't overlook that, and you could say, all right, I'm gonna use last year's crappiness as a way to get a good deal on Carlos Santana. And please do not forget about him on draft day, and do not let him be a 24th round pick. That's ridiculous. But look, you could draft him. The earliest that he's gone so far is 238, and that's still, what round is that? It's still 238, round 20. Get him before then. Get him before round 20. Get him. Draft him late. Don't draft him if you're in the league with me, because I'll be very annoyed at you. But it happens all the time. Okay, 349 was his career low on base percentage. Like I said, batting average on balls in play was 212. It's not even close. And he's still hitting fly balls at 39.8% of the time he hits fly balls. That goes right along with his 2019, 2018, 2017, all of the years. He's, fly ball rates 40% of the time. So anyway, moving on. I didn't know if I should put this player on this list or not, but I think it's an intriguing player to talk about. I feel like Garrett Hampson is going to have to fight for playing time, and that's the problem here. I see certain things, and I see him pop up on certain lists, like when I'm reading the forecaster, and I see I read into his projections, and obviously I look at Rotowire a lot. He has had he's been a struggle fantasy wise, also, just finding a place to play every day. And we do know that he can play, and makes it nice for the manager that he could be like a utility guy, but he plays second base and outfield. And Brendan Rodgers was also, like, everybody loved Brendan Rodgers, but I still think that Brendan Rodgers is not panning out. Here's the thing about Hampson. He saw the majority of playing time at second base for the Rockies last season, but he could be forced to compete with Ryan McMahon for a job in 2021. He had in 2019, at the end of the season, he ended the season with great stats. Like, he was kind of exciting heading into 2020 because of how good he finished 2019. And depending on if you believe in those things or not, like, the momentum that you have when you end the season, does that have anything to do with how good you start the next season? I mean, for a young guy, he's 26 years old still. He'll be 27 this year. But here's the thing. It's like he can't even, number one, he doesn't get he doesn't get consistent playing time. And even if they attempt to give him consistent playing time, it seems like he has like a half good season. It's just, he hasn't had that much experience yet, but he still hasn't really been consistent for long periods of time. So most of last year, the last season, 2020 was only 2 months long. It was like the first half and the second half, 2 months. And that's what when we talk about having a first half and a second half, it's just really only covering 2 months of the whole season. So last season, his production came in the first half. Okay. And then in the second half, he hit 216. And I don't know. That's not going to get him a job to play every day. He struck out at least twice in each of the final 5 games of the season. He ended the season with a 32.6% strikeout rate, which is unacceptable completely. That was up nearly 6 points from 2019. And this is not a power hitter. This is more of a speed guy. He strikes out a lot. And until he figures out not to strike out that much, he is going to be like a bunch of pent up talent just waiting to break out, and he just won't ever be able to do it unless he stops striking out so much. So he has above average speed. He gets on base often enough. His on base percentage was, how does he get on base often enough when it's under 300? Like in 2019, it was 290 on base percentage. That's not enough to me. That is not good. Anything under 3 is like, stay away from me. 287 on base percentage in 2020. I don't know, man. I didn't know if I should put him in here or not, because he actually shows up in several of the lists for top speed. His contact is, I believe his contact, let's see what this says. At Baseball Forecaster, it says that he has mixed results in his attempt to carry over September 2019 breakout, where he had 5 home runs, 9 stolen bases, and 80% contact rate in 95 plate appearances. Well, his 2019 second half supports double-digit home runs. The contact dive into the red zone dampens his overall value proposition, particularly the still undercapitalized speed skills. So he has speed, but has he capitalized on them yet? No. He needs to improve his contact back to what it was before, which it's looking like it's all about contact. It was 72 in 2019 and 81 in 2018 when he came up for just a little while. But 2020, his contact was only 64%. He has to make better contact. If he does, he is a good multi-positional player that should see playing time and can capitalize on it late in drafts. I mean, look, not that late. He's going at 279 overall, and I look at that and I compare it to Carlos Santana, and I think, God, that's ridiculous. He's going before Carlos Santana. Totally unacceptable, for real. Okay, for real. So let's talk about some rebound pitchers, and then we're going to be done for the day. Jameson Taillon, they were talking about him on the Athletic podcast, and I'm a huge fan of Taillon. I have been a fan of Taillon. I was very excited when he was ready. I mean, I don't like the fact that he pitches for Pittsburgh. I hate it, actually. I think that Pittsburgh is horrible for pitchers, and at least right now they are. And, no offense to Pittsburgh people or anything like that, because it's a great ballpark, probably the best ballpark, the most beautiful ballpark in the country. The people there are super friendly. It's just a great place to go see a baseball game, but the team absolutely is horrific, and especially for pitchers. Like, you see every pitcher that leaves Pittsburgh is better when they leave by not just a little bit, but like their spin rate goes up. Garrett Cole, you got Tyler Glass now who left there and just is a strikeout monster now. And I just feel like there's certain pitchers, especially guys like Mitch Keller, who could be so much better if they didn't pitch in Pittsburgh and are really iffy to draft or to put on your fantasy team because they pitch in Pittsburgh. And Jameson Taillon is going to fall right into line with this. I mean, think of what he could do if he left Pittsburgh. Just think of, the places you'll go. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, his average draft position right now, people are noticing he's coming back. Here's a guy, okay? I don't know, man, how much before his last Tommy John surgery, we had this discussion. It was like, how much are you going to trust a guy that's been hurt this much? And this is before the recent Tommy John, because he's had such an interesting journey to the majors, and he's had such an interesting journey. Like, his career has been, whoa, full of obstacles, just overcoming one after another, overcoming. And his attitude is like, it sucks to see these things happen to anybody, but when bad things happen, you either get stronger and figure it out, and you have certain attributes that other people that didn't have to go through struggles like you, they don't have those, and that's because you were able to overcome things that most people would never dream of happening to them. And he was drafted number 2 overall in 2010. Okay, 2010, number 2 overall. I can't remember who was drafted ahead of him, but he came right from high school to the minor leagues. Pittsburgh drafted him. He had Tommy John surgery, his first one in 2013. He had hernia surgery in 2013. Entering 2016, he had only pitched 382 innings since he was drafted in 2010, and he hadn't pitched any innings at all at any level since 2013. So he enters 2016 like that. He makes his major league debut in 2016 for the Pirates. He started out the season at AAA Indianapolis with a 2.04 ERA, a 61-6 strikeouts to walk ratio. And that was in 61 innings. He's just, he was excellent. Over 10 starts, okay? That was what he did in the minors. Then he came up to the majors early June. He showed off he's got a 2-seam fastball that is excellent. He throws it 39% of the time. It's his best pitch. Really good against lefties. Like, they can't hit shit off of Jameson Taillon. He struck out 85 batters and walked 17 batters as a rookie. He had a 3.38 ERA and a 112 whip in 104 innings. That was his debut season in 2016. His curveball is unbelievable. His curveball is has super great movement and just really excellent off-speed breaking pitch. So then in 2017, he battled testicular cancer. Okay, he was out for that season until May. Battled testicular cancer in May of 2017, but up till May, okay, the first couple months of the season, he had a 3.31 ERA and a 1.33 whip. He returned from testicular cancer. Okay, he left in May. He came back in June. That's just okay, maybe that was too soon. Maybe. Anyway, he returned on June 12th. His ERA was above 4. He did not have a great rest of the season. But he did have a FIP. His fielding independent percentage was 348. So that's, obviously better than his ERA at over 4. His xFIP was 348. His FIP was 389. He had a 352 batting average on balls in play, so it does show that he was a little bit unlucky. But bottom line, okay, here's the bottom line. He had to get Tommy John surgery again. It's horrible. This guy has faced so many obstacles, and I am such rooting for him, along with Mancini and Carlos Carrasco and all of these players. I don't know why I'm probably part of this comes from being a girl, and I do have some of those emotional things going on, but I want to root for him. Do I want to draft him where he's going to be drafted? Probably not. I just probably won't. Same reason I won't draft Trevor Bauer where he's going in drafts. There's just no way. As much as I like Trevor Bauer and respect him as a pitcher, I don't trust that he I just don't know where he's going. Number one, I don't know that if you can even trust him to do this for a full season, because remember, 60 games, he did excellent, but 60 games, it's like he did in 2018. He was excellent then too, for half a season until he got hurt. And then what? And then he came back in the next season, 2019, had a horrible season again. So you look at his track record, you see that Trevor Bauer has had one season less than 4 ERA, and both of those, it's happened twice, but both of them were just half season. So either way, I like Trevor Bauer. I think he's a phenomenal pitcher. If he can pull it together, that's great. I don't know if he will. I certainly hope he goes for 1-year contract. I'm like the only person that still believes that, I think, because Luba is telling everybody that they're going to listen to any offers. That's fine. They're going to listen to any offers. Does that mean he's more likely to accept a multi-year contract? I don't know. I don't think so. Does that mean that because teams are poor and they're not going to be willing to pay this guy like a third of their? Think about it. If he does get a 1-year contract, it's going to have to come from a team that, number one, is ready to win, and number two, actually has the cash to pay him $30 million for one season. $30 million. You think about the tax threshold. It's like okay, you're thinking about the tax threshold. It's like right around 210 or something like that. You're going to pay this guy like a third or a fifth of your complete, overall salary. I don't think so. But I definitely think like there's teams out there, but it narrows down the options big time when you talk about just 1-year contract. So would he sign a 2-year contract? I don't know. I think it's going to be either 1 year or 4 years. I think look, it's going to take a lot of confidence for anybody to believe that they're good enough to take a 1-year deal, that they are going to expect not to get hurt, and to, because it's just one false swoop and your entire career is over. If you're 1-year contract type of guy, and he's not like young anymore, he's going to be in his 30s. So, 30 is not old in real life, but 30 is, for baseballers, it's kind of old. It's like definitely not, at the peak of the career here. Although Bauer's been very good at avoiding Tommy John surgery because he does his workouts and like has his own way of keeping his body the way, from getting hurt. And maybe other pitchers should like learn from him, because he definitely has been proving track record that he has not needed Tommy John or missed any significant time to injury. So that's one thing he's got. He thinks that everybody should have like their own personal training regimen. Like every training structure should be built upon each individual person and not a general, you're going to work out this many times a week or you're going to throw this many pitches. No, like Trevor Bauer wants to pitch every fourth day. That's huge for any team. And I hope that they let him do it, because I believe that he can, because the off season, all he does is throw. Like he doesn't take time off. He definitely throws a ton of pitches. So his body is used to it. And with most of these pitchers, like you can barely even get 5 innings out of them if you're lucky. And Bauer, I don't see why he can't go for every 4 days, because, that's what he's used to. It's like if you walk 10 miles every day, your body's going to be used to walking 10 miles, and then you're going to be able to do it way easier than the guy that like walks no miles every day. Okay, so that's just how it works. Anyway, back to Jameson Taillon. What do you think of this guy? He underwent his second Tommy John surgery in August of 2019. It was devastating hearing this. I had him already on a team or two at that point. He's been throwing live batting practice during 2020, like when baseball was going on. He's still doing that. He should be ready for the start of spring training in February. His last full season was in 2018. I will say that's, I think, his only full season that he ever had so far. That's why, even though he's approaching 30, his innings on his arm are so low, because he never has made it like that. It's not like he has Chris Sale innings on his arm or like, any of this. His entire career, this guy has like less than 500 innings pitched since 2010. Like his one full season that he was pitching, he had a 3.20 ERA, a 118 WHIP, 179 strikeouts, and 46 walks in 191 innings. What can we expect from him this year? Let's see, where's he going? Okay, coming back from your second Tommy John, that's a feat in itself. Like there's only a couple pitchers that we know of that are still active in today's landscape that have gone through Tommy John surgery more than once and actually pitched okay. And the two that I wrote down here are Eovaldi and Daniel Hudson. And neither of these guys are great, like reliable pitchers, Eovaldi, you just never know what you're going to get out of him. You definitely can't rely on him for like a full season of work. You don't even know if he's going to be a starter or a bullpen guy. Daniel Hudson was great in 2019 as the closer for the Nationals when he got thrown into that spot because, dude, I forget who the dude was, but he just wasn't cutting it a closer, so they throw Daniel Hudson in there. He did well. I really liked him last year for a sleeper closer, but neither of these guys are like the greatest pitcher, and definitely they don't have the talent that Taillon has. Taillon's going to return as a 29-year-old in 2021. He could end up in the bullpen easily. Okay, that's definitely an option. By far, Pittsburgh's best pitcher. In my opinion, let's make sure, because I got to look at their depth charts. Their pitchers are just so, any pitcher that leaves Pittsburgh is going to be better. Okay, outside of Pittsburgh, that's just the truth of the matter. They have Mitch Keller. Jameson Taillon is listed as their number one guy. He's out right now, but he's listed as he will be their number one starter. That's kind of scary. So they're going to be putting a lot on this guy if he comes back healthy, if he does well in spring. They have Mitch Keller, who, again, weird, because like going into last season, Mitch Keller had a 7-something ERA, but his FIP and his xFIP were super low. They were in the mid-3s, and you said, okay, this guy actually has the talent to be a good pitcher, right? Even though he's still pitching in Pittsburgh. And I loved him in Stratomatic, and I thought, okay, between him and Corbin Burns, they were like cheap as heck. They were like total potential pitchers, Mitch Keller this past season, Mitch Keller reversed those two stats. It was like his FIP and his xFIP were high, super high, higher than you even want on your fantasy team. But his ERA was under 3. It was 2.91. It's so crazy, this guy. You don't know what to expect out of this guy. Like I said, in 2019, his ERA was 7.13, and his FIP was, let me look at his FIP, 307. Then this last year, his ERA is 2.91 and his FIP was 6.74. So what the hell is going on? I don't get it. I don't get him at all. He's pitching in Pittsburgh, and that's just really what I pretty much fall back on. Whenever in doubt, I fall back on that because it's ridiculous. Okay, one more pitcher that I think is worth paying attention to. Taiwan Walker. Where's Taiwan Walker going? 297. Holy crow. All right. He's 303 overall. ADP. That's like round 28. Okay. 28. That a lot of drafts don't even go to round 28. His earliest is 240 and his latest is 454. I can't even imagine. So like, if you're in a deep league and you have an opportunity to get and grab Taiwan Walker, he's totally worth looking at. He left Seattle. He was, he came up with Seattle. He's had injury problems too. Let me pull him up. Wait, it says he's a free agent. Is he still a free agent? He's a free agent. We don't even know where he's going to pitch yet. Still, it doesn't matter. Seattle is a great place for pitchers. That's true. Seattle was a great place for pitchers. Then he went to Toronto, though, and let's see what we have here. Yeah, he did okay in Toronto too. And Toronto is known for, I think they are a decent home run. Like they are a park that gets hitters hit at Toronto. I don't think it's a pitcher's park by any stretch of the word. But Seattle is a pitcher's park. And it says that he surrendered just 4 runs over 6 starts for the Blue Jays. Okay, after being traded from the Mariners at the end of August, which even going into the season, I was high on him because I knew that he was going back to Seattle to fight for a position in baseball again. Like he never lived up to what he was supposed to be in the major league. Like we were all excited. Remember, we were all excited about Taiwan Walker as a youngster. Like I remember the hype on him was super good, super high. And he was just, he's been hurt a lot. So he had this attitude that he was going to prove to everybody in baseball that he was not washed up and he was not going to just, end his career. He's 28. Last year, he's 28, so he'll be 29 this year. It says that after being traded for 53 innings pitched last year, 43 hits. I love that. I love the fact that he's always been not giving up very many hits. If you compare his hits to the number of innings pitched, he's always lower. The hits are always lower, hits allowed, and his strikeouts. He strikes out a decent amount of pitchers or hitters. He strikes out close to 9 per 9 innings. His ERA has always been good, decent. I mean, seriously, he's got potential for sure. And even I just feel like this is way too late for this guy. He's going to find a job. He had a 2.7 ERA last year. 21 projections at Rotowire. They project him to go 10-8 with 136 strikeouts, a 1.24 whip, and a 3.58 ERA. And he's definitely worth looking at late in drafts. No doubt about it, because the talent is there for sure. Going into 2021, he should be able to say, like, I'm ready to go full time, starts. It's not going to be like one inning, couple innings here and there starting, trying to get him eased back into things. Like, he's after the 50 innings that he pitched last year, he's ready to go and be in a rotation of some sort. Talk about a guy that could help out a team. I'm saying this guy can help out a team, no doubt about it. And he should not be overlooked on draft day. I think that if you do draft early, these are guys that you should target. Jared Walsh, Carlos Santana, Taiwan Walker for sure, way above Jameson Taillon, only because of the injury issue that we have going on. Definitely he's going to get signed, and as soon as he does get signed, his average draft position is going to go up. And so really, we don't use average draft position to figure out how good a player is. We use it to figure out where other teams are willing to draft this player. And, that's why it has nothing to do with the talent of a player. It has everything to do with the market price of a player. And so that's what, if you're using ADP for this, it's very helpful, and mock drafts are very helpful. And anyway, these are the players that I thought were interesting to talk about today. So Happy New Year. Maybe Lenny will do a podcast tomorrow. I know he's kind of itching to do one, miss Christmas, and George will be here tomorrow. I hope that Douglas will come and do a show, and we'll be here. So talking baseball. And that's it. That's all, folks. In broadcast.